We're live. It's happening. I know it's live because it just told me. It's exciting. Hello, everybody. Hi. How you guys doing? Are we excited to talk about Echoes from the Underground today? Look at that. I'm so prepared. It was like I just reached over here and there it was. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for being here. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Questions and answers. That's the whole thing with a Q&A is there have to be questions and then there have to be answers. And unfortunately, I think I'm on the answer side. So they better be good. And if they're not, you'll get your money back. Okay. Nice to see some familiar faces here. Nice to see some new faces. Before we get started, I do want to thank Mike Weberman, who's here moderating. Thank you, Mike. I see Matt Robbins, guitar player extraordinaire, one of my favorite people. I love that you're here. Thank you, Matty. So if there are questions, you can direct them to Mike. You can also direct them to me, and I will do my best to be the guy who can multitask well enough to answer at the same time as keeping the program going forward. I think it's important to mention that it's a tough day. Eddie Van Halen passed away today, and you know, he was one of the all-time greats. He forever changed guitar, period. And I learned an awful lot from him. And it's important, I think, to note his greatness and also to mourn his passing. And I send condolences and love to his family. Okay. So Amanda asks, question, how long can we keep falling? It's a very good question. Turns out very long. The correct answer is very, very long. So we did have a bunch of questions submitted via social media. I want to make sure we get to those, and then I will try to, however I can, sort of interface with the chat. You also have the option of doing the super chat thing, I believe, which sort of highlights it and also donates to the cause, which is very kind and generous. But the highlight is easy for me to see, so you may have a better shot. If that was a Thayer's right there. I almost had a stray Thayer's moment. I had a Thayer's in my mouth, and my Thayer's was like, I'm going to make it. You know, in Toy Story, they're like, we're getting out of this house. That Thayer's was like, I'm out. I see my opportunity. He's making a big vowel. I caught it. It's not the first, and it's definitely not going to be the last. I own you, Thayer. Lozenge. We do always have to mention the Thayer's lozenges. We also need to mention the tea, because tonight we've got a delightful brew. And I mean delightful. It's the Yogi brand. We are proudly not sponsored by Yogi Teas, but it's the Egyptian licorice mint. That sounds horrible. I think that sounds terrible. Licorice mint tea sounds just like, don't make me drink that. Fantastic. Which actually may be one of the best PR moves by a tea company. Make it sound real gross, and then you take a sip and you have that response. Does it have caffeine in it? No, it does not, Teresa. Beet chops, who knew? I knew. That's right. Okay, let's start. Let's start this thing. So I want to mention the personnel who are involved in the creation of this record. Ron Lavella, drummer extraordinaire. Currently, when we actually play gigs, which is when exactly, I am, and we are very, very fortunate to have him playing the drums with and for us. Ron played drums on this record. Sean Hurley played the bass guitar, not surprisingly. Richard Marks, yeah, pulled him in. Harmony vocals on You Never Let Me Down, Evermore, Song for Someone, and Consolation. And he also played piano on You Never Let Me Down. And of course, Neil Peart played drums on Instamatic and South for the Winter. The gang vocals on Frost were Steve Feckety, another Vertical Horizon alum, Jen Oberly, another Vertical Horizon alum, and Jason Orm, another Vertical Horizon alum. It was fun for me to have them over to the studio to try to get them to sound like, more of a crowd. And I joined them as well. The record was mixed by Steve Hardy. You can find him at Rock Mixer on Instagram. Incredibly talented guy. And man, I put him through the paces for this one. So I have a tendency to overthink things. I don't know if that's going to surprise anybody here, but when I'm working on a record, I really I get into like quarter dB adjustments, and it's maddening. And I have to give Steve Hardy a lot of credit for always being patient and positive, and he did a fabulous job. Ben Gross also mixed a few songs. He mixed You Never Let Me Down, Broken Over You, and Half Light. Ben, of course, produced Everything You Want and has worked with us in some capacity on every record since Everything You Want. One of my favorite people, just a truly fantastic human being. And I knew when I met him, when we started working on Everything You Want, I knew that he and I would be friends forever. And so far it's going okay. Knock on. Don't do that. Don't knock on anything. Ever. It's a terrible idea. That was the least lucky moment in my friendship with Ben Gross right there. Okay. Onwards. Was mastered by Ted Jensen, the great Ted Jensen from Sterling Sound. He has, I call him my guardian angel. He has mastered every record for us since it was a Madquake. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm all right. I made it through. I made it through the Madquake. But Ted is an incredible mastering engineer. And I was listening to a podcast. I want to say it was the Tape Op podcast. I want to try to give credit where credit is due. The Tape Op podcast. And they were talking about mastering with a mastering engineer whose name, unfortunately, at this moment, I don't recall. But she said, because what is mastering? It's a great, I talk about mastering. What is the mastering of an album? The best way that I've heard to think of it is an art curator. So if you are curating a collection of paintings from an artist, you choose the gallery, you choose the lighting, you choose the color of the walls, the order of it's a little stretching it because in my experience, the mastering engineer doesn't choose the order of the songs on an album, but nonetheless, it's an interesting way of looking at it. So that it's almost like they frame the songs in their best light. I think that's a good way to look at it. So Ted Jensen does that and does it incredibly well. The engineers involved in this, there were a lot of engineers on this record. Joel Numa, one of my dearest friends out here in Los Angeles. Of course, Steve Hardy, Tom Weir from Studio City Sound. He engineered all the drums that Ron played on. Excuse me, and Tom Sorowski, Chris Steffen, Sean Hurley, Morgan Stratton, and Matt Prock. So different studios, different engineers helping this whole thing come together. The cover art and booklet design was by Justin Wolfe and Chase Turberville. And Justin Wolfe is an incredible talent, and he and I are continuing to work together. Justin did The Lost Mile. He also did Go 2.0. He was the one who did the Broken Propeller. That was an idea that I had, and he just fulfilled it in a beautiful way. He did a great job. The photography was by Jory Lee Cordy, Steve Hardy, and myself. And then, of course, on the back cover of the record, we have to mention the great Donovan White and Jeff Jarvis, who are very much out of focus, we must say. It's not fair. It's not nice. Music business is tough. What can I tell you? Liner notes were by Stephen Humphreys, and Stephen is a really good friend of mine and an incredible journalist. So he wrote a beautiful, beautiful piece. If you don't have the physical record, we did work hard on this packaging. We wanted to make it feel like it was an event, something. These things take a lot of time, and that's why I drop them. These things take a lot of time, and you want it to be special. So, all right, let's get going. 2 Layers of Bacon is asking me to play Song for Someone for my niece who served a tour in Afghanistan. She actually had the privilege of meeting you at Bagram. I am the guy who designed the Echoes cereal box, and I put her in the back of the box standing with you. I still have it, and I absolutely remember. Her favorite song is Song for Someone, so it would be a treat for both of us to hear it played in a live stream. We love the story behind it. Thank you for your consistent support of our troops. You are a class act, Matt. Well, it's incredibly kind of you to say, and I certainly will play it. I'm not so before we go much further, I'm going to play a couple songs tonight. The sound quality on YouTube, we're working on it. We're going to get it a little bit better than it is, but the sound quality on YouTube is okay. The sound quality on Stage It is pretty darn good. So on Thursday night, I'm going to do a Stage It show, and if you haven't seen those shows, you may want to check it out. You can pay whatever you like. It's it can be, I think 50 cents is the cheapest, whatever. So you can do that. And so I will play a song or two tonight. I'm just not exactly sure which song to play. Marcelo Stefani, I have a sound geek question. You've mentioned many times how Welcome to the Bottom had about 100 tracks. It did. In Echoes, I think you managed to get the best Vertical Horizon album sonically speaking. Can you tell us a bit about your approach to the sonics of the album? I feel like this album is much stripped down in terms of layers compared to Burning the Days. It's a really, really good question. I'm seeing Leslie Ziegler talking about the Stage It show, and you get a good seat for 50 cents. Yes, you do. You get a great seat. And the other thing that's funny is the drive home is easy, no traffic. Karen Bennett, thank you very much. Karen says thanks in the super chat. Cindy Tomlinson, thank you very much, Cindy. Thank you guys for the contributions. It's very kind. So overall, I was trying to have a little bit more space because I felt like on Burning the Days, I did go a little bit crazy. So I was hoping to have a little bit more space. I had specifically been thinking of bands you don't necessarily hear it in the record, but I had been thinking about bands like AC/DC, where it's hard. It's, two guitar tracks, bass, drums, and vocals. And when you compare that to something like Welcome to the Bottom, which I do think had 100 tracks, you kind of it's a bit maddening. And so sometimes I think in any endeavor you ebb and flow, right? So Burning the Days was maybe me uh, ebbing, and then Echoes is me flowing. Let's go with it. By the way, the photograph on the back cover was with the great Donovan White and Jeff Jarvis, was taken by Jory Cordy at the video shoot for Broken Over You. So just want to acknowledge that. That was a nice video to shoot. It was fun to do. Okay. So can you tell us a bit about the approach to the sonics of the album? I feel like the album is much stripped down in terms of layers, and it is theoretically. I mean, I think, for example, of South for the Winter. I'm going to sort of skip around a bit tonight. On the last one we did, I sort of went song by song. I'm sort of feeling like I just want to skip around a little bit tonight. South for the Winter, which incidentally starts with a sample of loons on a lake up in Maine. My father and my brother and myself, we go fly fishing up there, try to go every year. And when we were out there one night, the loons were just singing. It was beautiful. So I just took out my iPhone and I asked my brother and my dad to be quiet for a minute, and we recorded the loons. And when I got home, I put the sound of the loons into the top of that song. But that song is a fairly stripped back song. And I guess let's talk about Neil Peart's contributions to this record. South for the Winter was interesting. When I asked him if he would, Figure 19, thank you very much. These chats and stage at shows are such a wonderful treat, especially in this crazy world right now. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Figure 19. When I asked Neil if he would play on this record, he asked me to send him a couple songs. So I sent him Instamatic and got a pretty quick reply saying, I think I can bring something to that track, which of course he certainly did. But when I sent him South for the Winter, he was excited to try something that maybe was a little different. And we wound up during that session. I remember Michael Mossback and Chris Stanke, Chris from Sabian Cymbals, and Michael, who's Neil's longtime security, and they would ride the motorcycles together all over the world. Michael brought his djembe, and so Neil got out there in the room and was just playing the djembe, and it was this super mellow and beautiful moment. And Neil just was vibing on that spirit that was in the room, and it was so beautiful. And I remember as he started to, the song builds, and as he switched over to the drum kit, and as he started to build, I just had this absolute feeling of joy. And the song itself was written for a friend of mine who was in a pretty tough situation. A relationship he was in was ending, and his soon-to-be ex-wife was moving away, and he was sort of settling in for a lonely one. And I wrote that song for him. But I also knew that sometimes I think in those dark moments, a there's a self-reliance, and you sort of know that if it's gonna get done, whatever it needs to be done, it's gonna get done by you. You're gonna be the one who has to do it. And when I was in the control room and Neil was through his incredible dynamics, building this song to this amazing crescendo, I saw, I just, it just felt like this perfect moment. And I spoke last time about my love for Neil and my incredible gratitude. And it's still very challenging for me to talk about him, my memory of that song was he sort of was going in there going, let's see what happens, which is a different way, was a different way for him to work. He was traditionally a very um, prepared guy. So we just sort of ebbed and flowed in that moment, and that was pretty great. So that is South for the Winter. Marcelo also asked, can you tell us about your approach to compression, or better yet, your decision to avoid it, which is one of the reasons I love your music so much. This is a slightly contentious thing within the subject within the music business right now. First of all, Lisa Rosati, thank you. Hi, Matt. We hope to see you in person next year. Miss you and the guys. Lisa makes the greatest biscotti in the whole world. Is the plural of biscotti? I think it is. But Lisa and Rob, thank you both. And Kimberly Mazzola, thank you. Every song on this album is wonderful. Happy 7th anniversary. Thank you, Kimberly. Thanks to everybody thank you for making contributions. It's greatly appreciated. Biscotti is plural. Okay, great. So what's singular? Sarah C., since you're the biscotti plural authority. Okay. Let's get back to Katzenheimer says biscot. Biscot. Is it biscot? Are you being serious? Biscot. It should. Okay, Lisa is chiming in. This is what we're really doing here. 7th anniversary, sure. Let's figure this biscotti situation out. Okay, biscotti gate. Okay, but compression. So if you were to look at most pop music nowadays as a graph, you would essentially see just a flat, almost like a painted line. And if you were to look at, say, a Beethoven symphony, you would see it very much as a bunch of peaks and valleys, a bunch of ebbs and flows. Okay, it looks more like that. And compression, which is a great thing, also can be a bit of its job is to squash dynamics. So one of the things I don't love is when I listen to a record and I don't feel that it has any highs or lows in terms of quiet moments and loud moments. Eric Road is saying, glad you didn't crash that GT back in the day. Yeah, that was, I think you're referring to the Ford GT on the track. That was a good moment. That was a beautiful moment. What a car, let's be honest. So I as much as we can, I like to have loud moments and quiet moments. And South for the Winter is a great example of that. And Ted Jensen, to his credit, and Steve Hardy and Ben Gross, when we were mixing these songs, we had the goal of having a large dynamic range. One of the downsides to that is you have to turn up our records a little bit more because they're not quite as blasting you out of your face as some of the other records that we might find out there in the world. Anyways, that's inside baseball, but that's what we're here for. Johnny De La Pina asks, Frost is my favorite Vertical Horizon song ever. I believe the lyrics are some of the best I've ever heard. Thank you, Johnny, very, very much. They are so sad and beautiful. Did it take you long to write that song? They seem to have been a labor of deep love and patience. Wow. And the music fits so perfectly, almost like a pulse barely holding on to life. That's amazing. Steve Drews also asked, what was the inspiration behind Frost and the way that the song builds and builds, then returns back to the beginning? It is far and away my favorite song on the album and is nearly my all-time favorite Vertical Horizon song. Lines Upon Your Face still takes the cake, though. Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you. Thank you both for asking those questions. So let's talk about Frost. Frost is Letitia Castro. Thank you very much, Letitia. Thank you. Frost was very much a labor of love. It was a difficult song to write. I'm just pulling up the lyrics here. To me, I thought about this song almost more like a painting. There are times when I write songs and they feel like films, and then there are times when a song will feel more like a painting or a photograph. And this song, Frost, felt very much like a painting to me. I had a dream, which I may have mentioned before. Thayers. I had a dream that I was a farmer, and I woke up one morning and my crop was entirely covered in frost. And I realized that everything I had worked so hard for was going to die. And that moment of certainty that everything that I had worked so hard for was going to fail was on some level matched by the incredible beauty of this sort of supernova before the end. And that, in a way, seeing this beautiful sight made the inevitable fall worthwhile in some way. So I started working on the song, and really, for me, the lyric and the chorus. I'll play a song here shortly because I don't want to just talk. And thank you for your patience. If you've tuned in just for songs, just so you know, Thursday night is much more about me playing songs. Tonight's just a lot more questions and answers, talking about the actual creation of Echoes from the Underground. But for me, when I knew I wanted to call the song Frost, and I had all of the leaves are green, and then I didn't have that line, and I had but all that we might have been, but I also thought, there is a tradition of, you could say, a poet could say bean. So there was a rhyme there, even though probably for some people that would drive them crazy. I kind of liked it. But all that we might have been is covered in frost. So the problem was, all of the leaves are green on what? What is the thing? What's the plant? So I started looking for plants that rhymed with frost in some way, shape, or form. How are we going to find a plant that rhymes with frost? It's not going to go well. And so I I'm going through, I don't recall exactly, but I know it was, there was a book of plants and it just wasn't coming. And then I had this aha moment, which is one of the reasons why I even love this chorus a little bit more, was that I had an aha moment where I remembered Forget Me Not. And I thought, oh my gosh, is a forget me not a flower or a plant? What is a forget me not? I hope it is, because it could not be more perfect if it's a plant, right? So I looked it up and I was like, oh, please forget me not, please be a plant. And sure enough, there it was. And just then the chorus it went from being hypothetical and, oh, this could be good. It was set in stone. And it just went from this uh, sort of wispy, seeing this thing through the haze, to stone. And was overjoyed. I've said this before on some of these other things. For me, I view the songwriting process as a far more receptive endeavor than a creative endeavor. So sometimes when I talk about these things, it may seem that I'm digging myself and saying this is great, I'm great. And I don't, that's not how I feel at all. I just feel lucky and fortunate to be receiving these moments, these thoughts, these sounds, and to be able to form them into little songs that sort of then can fly away and maybe touch people. So bear with me. I get excited and I'm very proud, but I'm also very grateful for the inspiration. So then it was, how do we get there? And I felt like, well, the farmer thing is a little bit, I don't know. It wasn't, I didn't want to just knock on the farmer door the whole time. I wanted to be more painterly, like I said. And touch ticking in the torchlight, flicking like a firefight in my mind. Those lines kind of came quickly. And as soon as they did, then it was, stuck, standing in the crosswalk, heavy like dump trucks in a line. And it all just started to flow. And that there was an element, I remember thinking of like a bank robbery, and that sometimes there are elements in relationships, moments in relationships, when the person that you love seems to be wearing a mask, not just as in now, but like wearing a mask and holding a shotgun and yelling at you to put all the money in a bag. It's, you know what I mean? Like, there are moments in relationships where it's like, what's going on? This is crazy. And so that line, stunned, overdrawn and outgunned, waiting out the outcome on the floor. That was that sense of like, you're down, but all is well, can't you tell? And then that pre-chorus, and the second time it comes through, and I don't mind, I'm just fine. Those things were the sort of sarcasm of those moments were it was heavy, so that moment makes it a little bit lighter, and then of course it gets heavy again during the chorus. And the bridge, which if you've been with me on some of these other sessions or on the stage at shows, I love bridges. And a bridge, for those who don't know, real quickly, a bridge is essentially a section that only appears once in a song, and it comes in and it serves to If you think of it as a room in a house, you spend a lot of time in the kitchen, you spend a lot of time in the den or the TV room or whatever, and then you go into another room, which gives you some new perspective on this home in some way. And the bridge kind of does that. You see the song a little bit differently from that. Maybe it's the second floor. You go up and you see a different view. This is beautiful. And then you come back down for the rest of the song. And if you need me to be strong, I will. If you need me to be gone, I will. They say life carries on, and I will, if you will. That bridge felt so good to sing. And sometimes that's another thing about J. Pittman 86 says that instrumental bridge is fantastic. Thank you. But that, yeah, I think you're right. So this is, okay, I think I know what you're talking about. You're actually talking about sort of, there's this post-bridge section. But I do want to mention in the bridge, the if you need me to be strong, I will, that part. When we were tracking that song, I asked Sean to be tacit. Sean, the bass player, to mute during the first, I don't know if it was 4 bars or whatever it is of that bridge. So there's no bass. And when you go into that bridge, it feels, because there's no bass pulling you down, it feels like you've flown to this height. You're upstairs looking down. And then the line comes in, they say life carries on, and I will. Sean comes in then, and that the low end comes in, and it sort of starts pulling you back down. And then for me, that moment, I say touch ticking in the torchlight, flicking like a firefight in my mind. One more time, and then we start this post-chorus, post-bridge section. And that, I'll play a song here after we talk about this. That moment was inspired by Coldplay. I feel there have been times in my life as a writer where I adhered very strictly to the formula. You have an introduction, you have a verse, you have a pre-chorus, you have a chorus, you have a reintroduction, you have a second verse, you have a pre-chorus, you have a chorus, you have a bridge, you have a chorus, you have a third verse, pre-chorus, chorus, repeat, done. And that's your song. And I like the idea. Pat Mars 22, thank you. Happy anniversary. Thank you for providing a soundtrack to 21 years of my life and songs full of hope for brighter days. I love this album. Can you share the story of how the title came to be? Sure, I will. Thank you. Good question. That's from Evermore. Boy, I gotta get moving here. I'm like talking Matilda. Talking Matilda. Biscotti Matilda. But there were a couple Coldplay songs and Elbow songs. One Day Like This. There's an Elbow song called One Day Like This. I know I've talked about Elbow before. If you haven't checked out Elbow, please check out Elbow. They are wonderful. Wonderful. Guy Garvey's lyrics are incredible. And there's a song called One Day Like This. And they have this, the song sort of goes through its whole thing. And then at a certain point, it becomes a different thing. And I had never really done that before. And I think with Echoes from the Underground and maybe a little bit on Burning the Days, there were a couple moments where at the end of the song, I sort of start a new song. But when I was creating that moment, I'm a little lower, but. that lyric came to me, and I just never wanted to stop singing it. When we originally did the recording, that whole section is twice as long, and it just goes because I never ever wanted to stop singing that line, because it's true. On some level, it's true. It's like, how long? And isn't it interesting that this is from 2013, and now in 2020, a new set of circumstances have presented themselves for us to feel like, oh, how long? Like, how long can we keep falling? I don't know. There's a truth to that. Okay, I wanna sing a song here. Okay. Thank you. Oh, and then the Jay Pittman, thanks. He says it hits you so hard and comes in at the perfect time. It's just amazing, and I can't stop listening. Thank you very much. The other thing I want to mention is at the end of the song, I was thinking of Lindsey Buckingham and Fleetwood Mac at the end of the song. So the key is different, but trying to think of what the guitar solo that comes in. But for me, I was just riffing on Lindsey Buckingham, thinking like, what would he have played in this moment? And then we come in to the all of the leaves are green. It's funny playing it in the wrong key. Okay, let's do a song. 40 minutes into this. I mean, I thought to myself, I'm going to make this one shorter. No, I'm not. All right. I feel like I'm just going to play. What am I going to play? I'm going to play You Never Let Me Down. Got so much to hide, but reflections never lie. I see you try to go and show your face again. You're my first and last mistake. Every promise that I break, just when the game is through, I can count on you to make sure I never win. This happiness is overrated. I need something to complicate it, and you never let me down. No, you never let me down. You don't need an invitation. Always grants the celebration. Yeah, you never let me down. No, you never let me down. It's really not so bad at all. So much farther left to fall. On every sunny day, you bring the rain to me. So I let you drown just a little bit, 'cause I know that you can handle it. One day the undertow ain't gonna let you go. Such a tragedy. This happiness is overrated. I need something to complicate it, and you never let me down. No, you never let me down. you never let me down. No, you never let me down. Move on, there's nothing to see here, nothing left for you. Stay far away, no one but me here. That's not enough for you. It's never enough for you. Happiness is overrated. You're always there to complicate it. Yeah, you never let me down. No, you never let me down. You don't need any invitation. You always cry to celebration. Yeah, you never let me down. No, you never let me down. All right. Let me see. I think maybe a little less gain, Mike. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I think it's just the way YouTube sounds, but we're going to work on that for the next one. Thank you, Rags fan. Thank you very much. I know the sound isn't quite as good here on YouTube as it is on Stage It. So, but thank you very much for your kindness. Oh boy. All right. So, yeah, we got someone who's in the chat having fun. Wow, that's so nice of you to come here and just spend time doing that. Okay, so but I do want to talk about writing that song. So You Never Let Me Down. Richard Marx and I wrote that, and that was the first song we had written over FaceTime. It was Richard's idea. He said, what if we write a song that's sort of the theme of this song, right? Writing it as if you're saying, like, to another person, like, yeah, you're always there to ruin things, but then to actually reveal over time that it's that it is you're writing in front of a mirror. You're singing to a mirror. You're singing to yourself. And I just loved that idea. It was so it was such a great idea. And it started with that line, I've got so much to hide, but reflections never lie. It all kind of came together. Harsha Ravichandran, hello. Hey, Matt, loads of love from India. Oh, thank you. Evermore, the song for me feels like it starts at a distance. Even the lyrics start with that. And it moves closer towards the end. Would love to know the story. Thank you. That's absolutely, I will. And Margaret Rubacha, Villano. I know I'm late, Matt, but I made it. Nice. I'm so glad you did. I commented about a week ago, I'm on hospice, end of life care, and just can't say enough about how your music lifts my soul. Please play everything you want. Okay. Change of plan. We're going to do a song that's not from that record. We're going to do it for Margaret. Here we go. Just because here we go. Somewhere they're speaking, it's already coming in. Oh, and it's rising in the back of your mind. You never could get it unless you were fed it. Now you're here, you don't know why. But under skin knees and the skin marks, past the places where you used to learn. You howl and listen and wait for echoes of angels who won't return. He's everything you want, he's everything you need, he's everything inside of you that you wish you could be. He says all the right things at exactly the right time, but he means nothing to you and you don't know why. You're waiting for someone to put you together. You're waiting for someone to push you away. There's always another wound to discover. There's always something more you wish he'd say. He's everything you want, he's everything you need, he's everything inside of you that you wish you could be. He says all the right things at exactly the right time, but he means nothing to you and you don't know why. But you'll just sit tight and watch him wind. It's only what you're asking for, and you'll be just fine with all of your time. It's only what you're waiting for. Out of the island and into the highway, past the places where you might have turned. You never did notice, but you still hide away the anger of angels who won't return. He's everything you want, he's everything you need, he's everything inside of you that you wish you could be. He says all the right things at exactly the right time, but he means nothing to you. You don't know why. I am everything you want, I am everything you need, I am everything inside of you that you wish you could be. I say all the right things at exactly the right time, and I mean nothing to you and I don't know why. I don't know why I don't know. It's you for you, Margaret. Lots of love and strength to you. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out. I really, really appreciate it. That's great. Lovely. I'm so glad you're here. I got your note and I'm glad you tuned in. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, that's great. All right. Let's get Matthew Jacobs Meyer. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Matthew says, thank you so much for these celebrations. These stories and details help me appreciate these songs, albums that I already love in a new and deeper way. Great job on them then and now. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. Thank you. Well, the question, the person who asked the question about Evermore, let's talk about Evermore right now. So the beginning of the song, this is going a little long. In my mind, I was thinking this will be a 45-minute one because there's only one record that we're talking about. But Jeff Starnes would love to hear the background on Consolation. That's kind. Okay. In my opinion, one of the best orchestrated songs ever. The way it pushes and pulls is a masterclass in dynamic songwriting. Thank you. So, Evermore, the chorus is sometimes. So it's interesting. As a writer, there are times when I start a song and the song craft begins with an idea for the verse, and the verse sort of, when you start off with a verse, there's always this sense of like being a babe in the woods, excuse me, with no idea of where you're going, and it's fine, but there is this element of, gosh, what's this song gonna be? I have no idea what this song's gonna be. And when I wrote Evermore, I wrote the chorus first. I know you can't sleep. You just look for love evermore. I pray your soul to keep, but you just look for love evermore. And that just kind of came quickly to me when I knew, when that happened, that that I had a thing that felt good. And the key for me to that chorus is that line, I pray your soul to keep. Someone was asking in one of these other questions, let me see if I can find it really quick, about the, and maybe Mike, if I can't find it right now, Mike, maybe you could help me find this, but it was, you were asking, oh, here we go, I found it. Treebeard says, here's my question. In Half Light, you have the great line, 1,000 words become a photograph. Many times you have taken common idioms and turned them inside out to make a great line, like this company loves your misery from Welcome to the Bottom. Do they just come to you, or do you plan them out? That's just such a great question. Thank you for asking that, because really it is, and I will, yes, the title of the album is in this song, so I will talk about that. For me, when I can take a common phrase and turn it on its head and give it either new meaning or a different meaning, I'm ecstatic about it, because everybody knows what I'm not saying, and it becomes this, whoa, I didn't know that we could look at it that way. And for me, this company loves your misery. Actually, when we were doing the Burning the Days Q&A thing, I didn't talk about this when we were talking about Welcome to the Bottom, and I was disappointed that I didn't, because those moments are, sometimes I talk about the flourish of a songwriter, like in a sword fight, you have that little flourish, right? Well, moments like that, lyrics like that, are very much a flourish. And I pray your soul to keep is that kind of a thing. And I am desperate for those types of moments. I am desperate for those types of turns of phrase. This company loves your misery I am as proud of that line as I am of anything I've ever been a part of. And I pray your soul to keep is right up there. And 1,000 words become a photograph from Half Light. It's the same kind of thing. I had never heard it said that way. The photograph is worth 1,000 words. I had never heard it said 1,000 words become a photograph. And it made it, it was, like I get goosebumps. I love this stuff. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. And when I get a question like that, it is, it makes I mean, it's worth it anyways. Don't get me wrong, but it's doubly worth it when people see it for some of the craft. But that so that's where that song started, was with the chorus. I'm conscious I do need to move along a little bit more quickly here. But the out in the haze of the distance, you're never sure, but you're listening. static in, then fading out. Like a sound in the city, just a long lost memory, echoing in the underground. I lived in New York City for a number of years and and Washington, D.C., spent some time in London, and I love traveling by subway, metro, underground. Um, the being in dark, the light is all artificial. And if you think about it, you're surrounded by all these tons of dirt, and you're somehow hurtling through these little tunnels with strangers to all to different but possibly close or similar destinations. And I love the idea of lives that sort of bump into one another and then move on. Um, the concept that words unspoken, you see a face that you feel like there could be a connection, and they turn and they're gone forever. So there are elements of that, I guess, in this song. But Echoes from the Underground, really, it started with those experiences in far off places. And then I also realized that so many of the echoes, the memories, the unfinished business is in my heart, and it's deep inside in the underground of my heart. And so I guess it's probably a good time to talk about the cover image. Justin Wolfe did an incredible job helping me to get the image that I sort of was hoping for. Obviously, anyone who knows Magritte's paintings can see instantly that we are leaning in heavy on his inspiration, and then, of course, also the amazing Pink Floyd album covers. I also wanted to mention Rush's Test for Echo, which is up there. You guys know it. I don't need to bring it over here, but I will. The Test for Echo album cover. I love a simple, iconic image that makes you think. And so we did that with Go, the Broken Propeller. Especially when you look at Go on the back cover and you see the boy, I gotta start moving faster. But the key with the lock in it was Justin's idea, and it's just about as genius a thing as I can ever imagine, because ultimately you can't unlock yourself, right? You need help. We all need help, and we all need to help each other. And when I saw this, I just thought, man, it's perfect. It's just perfect. So I want to thank Justin for that incredible image. Okay, let's move forward here. And thank you, everybody, for hanging out. I know this is turning into a thing. Bailey Sample Smith, it was so fun getting the behind the scenes info on this album as you were making it. I know you had mixed feelings about the process as you were going through it, especially with the delays at the end. Looking back on it now, what are your thoughts on the process, and would you do it again? So we crowdfunded this record, and one of the deals with that was that I would create content to keep people up to date on what we were doing. In exchange for them funding the record up front, which was lovely. But there was an element for me of I was concerned. I wouldn't say worried, but I was concerned about our supporters' expectations, and I wanted them to feel good about the process. And sometimes music doesn't go according to schedule, and it doesn't make itself in an elegant and timely fashion. And so there were things about the experience on my end that, as much as I was overwhelmed by the pledge, all the people who pledged to support the record, that was unbelievable. But I'm a fairly single-minded creative type, and I did notice that feeling like I needed to look out for or stay in touch with the people who pledged to support the record. It was a slight challenge for me. I'm not sure that I would do it again. I'm not saying I wouldn't, because there were things about it that were beautiful. Okay. So Lisa Rosati, who is the Biscotti lady, I love that. What is your inspiration to write Frost? We got through that. Rob would like to know your inspiration to write Broken Over You. So Broken Over You, the second song on the record, right? Is that what it is? I've got it right here. Sure it is. Why did I doubt myself? It is there's an element for me of sorry. There's an element for me in Broken Over You. Sorry, I'm just having a computer moment. Good times. Let me try this. I'm going to do a little modification here. Okay. That song came together. It really started with the first line, "Closer than I've ever been with you." That sense of knowing that things maybe aren't the way they could or should be, or the way they were, and how do you can you get back? Can you get that back? The chorus, part of me knows that part of you is broken, because I am broken too. I'm broken over you. There's that sort of chicken or the egg component in relationships sometimes, when what happened first. Most of me is certain that most of you is hurting, because I am hurting too. I'm broken over you. Excuse me. There's a symmetry to the language here. The chorus came together. I was talking about that with some of the other songs. There's a moment when the chorus becomes set in stone. The moment for this chorus is when I came to "most of me is certain that most of you is hurting." When I got that, I knew, bang, this is tight. Nothing can be changed. I remember I took a class on the short story in college, and one of the things, Carmen says, burp quake. You know what? It's just sometimes it's you got to burp. You got to burp quake. There's a burp quake that happens. That in the short story, that no words can be removed and no words should be added. It's at its ideal. It's at its optimum, in its optimum form. And this chorus is, I know empirically, it is, for what it is the perfect shape. And I love that I love ending a chorus with the title of the song, so it's nice that it does that too. Um, the other thing that's probably worth mentioning on this song is the bridge again. That, and maybe I'll play Broken Over You when we're done here, but that bridge, broken over you, how do I get from broken to over you? I don't know where that came from, but it was another moment that was just boom, this thing is happening. It's Lance Egan says bridgegasm. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, it was a similar feeling to that. Yeah. Oh, Rami Radi, I know that I'm just one of many, but you are my absolute favorite singer and songwriter for the past 20 years. Oh my gosh. Thank you. That's so kind of you. Thank you. That moment of broken over you. How do I get from broken to over you? Whew. I don't know where it came from, but it certainly came, and I was certainly grateful. Okay, let's move forward. Let's move forward. Thank you guys for hanging in with me on this. I appreciate it. We got that. I'm good. We answered some of these questions rather. Mundane Amanda asks, and the Lauren Phelps, what's your favorite song you recorded for the album? Which song are you most proud of? I think that's a really, really, really hard question to answer, because ideally you're proud of all of them. If you're not proud of all of them, then they probably don't belong on the record. You probably needed to do some more writing. So for me, it's very, very hard. It sounds a bit cliche to say, oh, I can't choose a favorite. Ugh. That's annoying. I hate that guy who says that, but I'm that guy. I will say there are moments like How Long Can We Keep Falling? The girls are fine. The guys are fine. The love is real and the faith is blind. From Consolation. And I've never played this song other than to record it, but in I Free You, the bridge, ironically enough, the bridge in I Free You, when we get to I Hear It, frozen on the tracks before the train. Here we go, another train, another underground. I hear it. The bullet sighs before the pain. I hear it. Waiting for the flash up in the sky. I hear it. I take the fall into the light. That bridge, and with the guitar parts, I'm very proud of that bridge. I love that bridge. David Gilpin saying, love the record, Matt. Congrats. Some of us would love for you to be interviewed by Rick Beato on his YouTube channel. Are you kidding me? Rick Beato? Sign me up. Dude's a badass. And that song's a good example. I Free You is another good example of that Nashville tuning guitar that we talk about sometimes, which is a 12-string guitar with all the low strings rather taken off and just the high strings. Okay, let's keep moving here. Generally, you write/record a few more songs. This is J.R. Silver, 1980. You write or record a few more songs than actually end up on the album. Were there any songs that didn't make the cut for Echoes? If so, can we hear them? I did play. Was it? What's the ain't up every word? Before the Letdown. I want to say Before the Letdown was written for this record or around this time. And for whatever reason, it just didn't fit. Okay. Let me go here. I think we're doing good. We're doing good. Karen Mado asks, "What made you decide to create the album the way you did, i.e., having the fans fund it first? Is that something you would do again? I love the whole album. The lines that get to me the most are 'So we end, so I begin.' Thank you for all the music." Oh, that's kind of you. That did touch on the pledge thing. That that lyric in "South for the Winter" is one of my favorite things. I when I'm writing choruses, I generally like the lyrics to kind of stay the same, but there are times when I like them to change. And at the end of that song, another moment that I like is what is that? I don't even know where I am. Yeah. Gone to the dawn, save the dark for me. Gone to the dawn, leave the dark for me. So I've talked about sometimes work trying to deal with being slightly more prone to depression than optimism, the glass being half empty. And that line for me feels, that line when I sing it, it sings the way I feel a lot, a lot. Okay. Let's talk about consolation. And then I think we can't do too much more. You guys have been so cool. I feel like I've told this story a lot, but I'll tell it again briefly. So I was visiting my brother up in Laconia, Lake Winnipesaukee, New Hampshire, and I saw a family out. It was bike week, so all these motorcyclists were. Mike O'Brien says, "Don't worry about keeping us longer. We love hearing you talk about this stuff." Thank you very much. Thank you, Mike. Um, but I saw that. So I saw a family: the husband, the son, the daughter, the mother. I love the symmetry of that as well. Big person yard, lounge chair, whatever. Small person chair, big person chair, umbrella, cooler, and they were watching the motorcycles go by, and we drove by them in seconds. But I saw them, and I thought, my gosh, I need to write their song. I need to write a song for them. And I just thought the beauty of having the children in between them, between the mother and the husband and the wife, the mother and the father, sort of almost prevented any discussion that might need to be taking place that was kind of serious. The kids were there, so I thought, well, let's just sit a while and watch the bikes go by. And then I realized that the bikes didn't sing quite as well as the cars, so I changed it, used my poetic license, changed it to cars. And the bridge in that song that's a real sort of testament to my love of Elbow's music. That bridge. Rami Reddy is asking about Lovestruck, and I do want to make sure. Karen Bennett, nice to see you. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. Boy, we've been going for a while here. Okay, Lovestruck. So I was down in Mexico with my love, and she was asleep in the bed, and I had my guitar, and we had this beautiful, beautiful room, and the curtains were blowing with the sea breeze, and the lights were out, and there was a candle, and just seeing the shape of her, I just started playing. And the whole song came out just by watching her sleep. So why don't we do that? I'll do that, and that'll end tonight's show. Please do come to the Stage It show on Thursday. The sound's a little bit better. We broadcast in HD, and we didn't talk about Instamatic. Okay, let's talk about Instamatic for a minute. I have to talk about Instamatic. So Neil Peart is my favorite drummer of all time in my favorite band of all time. He's my favorite lyricist of all time, and he is one of my favorite authors of all time. And he also is and was a very dear friend of mine. And so when I asked him to play on this record, he said, send me the songs, and which I mentioned earlier. And when I sent him Instamatic, he said, I think I can do something with that. And so he sent me. The amazing thing was they were up working on, I think, Snakes and Arrows, and he was in the studio, and Alex was engineering him and recording Neil's like rough drafts of Instamatic. I think I'm remembering this correctly. This also might have been when we did Save Me From Myself. But regardless, Alex was kind enough to engineer the rough draft of his performance. And when he came back into town, we went out to DW Drums out in Oxnard. And I definitely want to thank them for their incredible support of my band. And of course, they were incredibly kind to Neil, as well they should be, frankly. But they were, and they're great people. And we went out there and we rehearsed the song, just went through it. And he had this way. So I wrote the song. I wrote the song to have this just big, huge downbeat. We're in 100%. Sorry. There it is. So when it came in on the downbeat, I thought it was just going to be like, and when he started playing, and he was like, I was like, what's he doing? What is that? It's not this at all. It's like we're using dynamics. Wow. I didn't want that pick. That pick was pissing me off. And he created this, talk about a masterclass. Someone had said something very kind about my lyric writing and stuff like that. His drum performance on that song is a masterclass in dynamics, in technique, in the crafting of a part to suit the song, in supporting the lead singer. One of the things that I didn't understand until I was singing over Neil's drum track was just how much he supports the lead singer. His performance is so sturdy and powerful and confident that you feel as a singer like you can do anything. And it makes me envious of Geddy for all those years, and every guy in that band, they're all the greatest at what they do, the greatest. Okay. But as a singer, to feel the propulsion, and if you listen to that song again and think about the words that Neil chooses to accent with his kick drum, he's just helping me as the singer move forward and gain energy. And when it came to sing, now it's embarrassing because I'm gonna pick up. I had another pick, but I love this pick. I wanted that pick back. But when I picked NATO, genius, Kelly. When I picked Quake, but when I got, when it came to sing the chorus, Kathy Poe, thank you for the support. I appreciate it. When it came time for me to sing the chorus, and the melody are mostly instamatic, what's left of me is left to you. The battleships circling and waiting for your call. I'm no use flying, I just love the fall. I mean, his drum performance, I can't even. It's astonishing on that song. And when we recorded that, we have a video actually on the Vertical Horizon YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you like this stuff that we're doing, and we're trying to be more active with the YouTube channel, please subscribe to our channel. We're trying to build it and understand what you guys are wanting from us so that we can give it to you, but also we're trying to create new content. So if you can subscribe, that would be great. The other thing that's kind of key in all this stuff is for you to hit the bell. There's a bell that notifies you when we put a new video up. And that, I guess, is a really big deal to the YouTube algorithm. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing and hitting the bell icon, that would be lovely. But on our channel, we have a video of the day when we were tracking that song. And Neil had asked me, there are a lot of questions about this, and some of the questions in the comments section don't read. It's a dangerous thing to do, to read the comments section. But people who are saying like, who the heck is that bald guy? Like pointing, telling him what to do and stuff like that. Well, one of the things that Neil asked me to do was, he said, can you come into the room with me? Because when he had worked with Booge on, I guess it was Snakes and Arrows. Maybe it was Clockwork Angels. My timeline gets a little screwed up. But Nick their producer had been in the room with him when drummers get a bit of a bum rap sometimes, because they're just in the room by themselves listening to pre-recorded stuff. And there isn't well, that's a nice image. Let's do that for a while. There isn't a thing, a dialogue, right? So he said, can you come in and just help me in the moment? And, if you're excited, I'm excited. And of course, I'm over the moon, because my favorite drummer from my favorite band, who's also become my best friend, one of my, closest friends in the world, is playing. Boy, it's still hard to talk about this stuff. I miss him so much. So he's playing this incredible, like, just ferocious drum track for me, for my song, right? And I'm just jumping up and down, and And there were different takes where he would be like, hey, maybe we should try the China on this part. And so I would be kind of like in charge of remembering as we were going through, like, oh, this time we're going to go for the China. So you'll see little clips in that video of me going like pointing to that China and this and that. But he wanted that energy. And it was just magical, completely, utterly magical. And that song is inseparable from his drum performance. And I play it acoustically now. And it's an interesting experience because in my mind and in my heart, whenever I sing this song, I'm playing it with Neil. And I also have to give incredible credit to Ron Lavella, to our drummer. Neil would jokingly refer. He would call him. He'd say, "Your other drummer," you know. But Ron, for a long time we were opening the show with Instamatic, and so it wasn't like opening with an easy one. It was like, let's open the show with the craziest drum track ever recorded. And Ron he's unbelievable. He's a tremendous drummer, an even better human being. And it's, every night he just nailed it. For him, it was a real privilege. And I get it. It was a privilege as it is to all of us to be able to play a song that Neil contributed to. I just there was a mat quake, actually. There was a mat quake. I have an envelope full of pickup covers. That just fell off it's never a dull moment. Okay, so we're going to talk about Lovestruck. No, we already talked about Lovestruck. Let's play Lovestruck, and then let's say goodnight for the night. Please, please, please come to the show on Thursday. The Stage It show. You can pay whatever you feel like paying. You can pay 50 cents. I have to say, we have a really beautiful group of people who come and each week kind of touch base with each other. And it's almost, there's this element of like, it's a bit of a support kind of vibe, right? And so I want to thank all of them, many of which are here. It is kind of a support group, Kelly says. Thayer's lozenge, it's a lozenge. I'm going to do Lovestruck, and then we will say happy anniversary to Echoes from the Underground, and I will see you on Thursday night. Thank you to Mike Weberman for all of his diligent texting and inputting of stuff. Thank you to all the people who were in the super chat tonight. It's very fun to be doing these Q&A things because I don't very often get to talk in depth about the craft of songwriting, and it's such a passion for me that sometimes there's an element like I don't want to go too inside baseball, but I can see from the chat that it is something that you guys are enjoying hearing some of the stories about where these songs come from. And so but I want to thank you for that indulgence to my passion. So here we go. Here we are under stars, and the light is falling down like arrows. Crack the sky you and I, till the night just opens up and let's go. Love struck, you leave me love struck. Love struck, you leave me, don't leave me, love. Dim the sound, underground, in your calico and golden sunlight. Feel the break, it's all it takes. Got a favorite name and a favorite way to lie. Love struck, you leave me love struck. Love struck, you leave me, don't leave me, love. Love struck, you leave me love struck. Love struck, you leave me, don't leave me, love. Love struck, you got me love struck now. Love struck, ooh, love, love struck. The trees will guard us on the garden ground, like the breeze is blowing from another town. I guarantee the eyes are all dark, and now we lie down, we go back and forward into evermore. Never needed something that we needed more. The sweet release is all that we believe in. Now we lie down, Love struck, you leave me love struck. Love struck, you leave me, don't leave me, love. Love struck, you leave me love struck. Love struck, you leave me, don't leave me, love. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in and helping me wish Echoes from the Underground a happy birthday. It's very kind of you to stay here with me, and hope to see you on Thursday night, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can go to stageit.com/vertical horizon, and you can buy a ticket, pay whatever you like. And we try to do it every week. I am going to do, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to do a Sunday show at an earlier time for our friends over in the UK and Europe. And then we're going to try to figure out something for Asia as well. So and maybe some of our friends in India and stuff that might work for you guys as well. So thank you very, very much, everybody. And stay healthy. I see Sean Bowman, stay positive. Thank you. You guys stay positive too. And I'm extremely grateful, as always, for the support that you show my band and our music. It was a lot of fun. Thanks, everybody. See you Thursday. Good night.